The Prisoner, A Fight for Justice. Arsalan Khan was a fearless leader devoted to justice. His words gave hope to a struggling nation. But his fight against corruption made him a target. At a grand meeting, he exposed the corrupt elites. Threatened, they plotted against him in secret. One night, armed officers stormed his home. Handcuffed, he remained unshaken as his supporters cried out. In the shadows, the corrupt officials watched, satisfied. Inside a dark prison cell, Arsalan sat alone, but his spirit was unbroken. The officials celebrated, believing they had silenced him. Outside, the people refused to forget. They gathered in protest, demanding his release. One day, Arsalan received a letter from his family. Their words gave him strength. He stood by his small window watching the sunset, knowing darkness would not last forever. Meanwhile, the corrupt leaders counted their wealth. Underestimating the power of the people, even behind bars, Arsalan fought on. He poured his dreams into a notebook, his words becoming a legacy of resistance. His young son, holding his portrait, stood outside the prison, determined to carry on his father's fight. Massive protests erupted. The corrupt tried to suppress them, but the people's voice could no longer be ignored. Inside his cell, Arsalan gripped the bars as the sun rose, hope shining through. The corrupt leaders laughed, thinking he would be forgotten, but they were wrong. The protests grew. The pressure mounted. The courts had no choice. The prison doors swung open. Arsalan was free. Tears filled his son's eyes as he ran into his father's arms. But Arsalan was not done. Standing before the people, he declared, "I forgive my personal enemies, but not the enemies of my country." Justice had to be served. The corrupt officials were finally held accountable. No more oppression. The people breathed freely for the first time in years. The nation, once drowning in darkness, now shone with the light of truth. Arsalan Khan had won, not just his freedom, but the freedom of his people. From that day on, they lived with hope, dignity, and justice.